Good afternoon. How are we this afternoon? Lots of sitting, so lots of energy. And most of you have probably been through presence through movement, so let's do something just to release that energy. Just staying seated. And we're going to take a temperature. So we're just going to stomp our feet and shake our arms, move our head, and Okay. All right. So those of you at home, this is what we do in presence through movement. We have lots of fun. Release that energy. It's wonderful. All right. So we will take questions again today. But maybe first we should do meditation. Release some of that energy and let's make our meditation. So if you, say for example, have some emotions that are arising, you may not, but maybe you can feel just something in your body and you don't know what it is. So let's sit with that. Sit with whatever it is that you are feeling in this moment, without any expectation that it should be different. So we'll fully accept what is. And a deep breath in, and let it go with a sigh. And one more time, deep breath in, and let it go with a sigh. And feel your body. Do you have any emotions that are there? Name them and then let go. Drop the name. Drop the label. Oftentimes when we label something and we hold on to that label, that energy of that emotion just gets stuck. Right now we just want to just feel the sensation of that emotion. And it's somewhere in your body. Being completely still with it. Being the space for it. Breathing into where you feel it. Bringing your attention there. You may notice as you bring your awareness to that area, it perhaps shifts, changes, dissolves. Completely let go of this day, the morning, the afternoon. Let go of the future, for these are only just thought forms now. Accepting what is. You are the space for what happens. Become aware of that space within you. So we feel that space. And we also recognize that there's the form dimension, the form of an emotion, the sensation of the emotion, sounds, the inner body. You are the presence for what is. Every form that arises eventually dissolves. Listen to the sounds in this room, arising, and dissolving. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. I wonder what's going to happen today. I just had this thought. Somebody was telling me they went to, they were gifted a Tony Robbins ticket, a seminar, and it was on, I think it was on leadership. So the reason why I thought that, because here I was doing this and some people were doing this, and then I was doing this and some people were doing that. Anyway, so there was this exercise or something where Tony had the whole audience, so there's like thousands of people there, you know, jumping up and down and screaming and saying, "You are a leader, you are a leader," and he's jumping up and down going, I'm a leader, and then he realizes, wait a second, I'm following here. Didn't mean anything for those who were doing this. It's actually nice to do. My body's feeling a little like, okay, something going on here. It just wants to keep moving. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so questions. If there are still some questions, I think we're the two people that are one. Where's the other one? Just one today. Okay. The Almighty.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you a question in terms of awareness through movement. And I find that when I'm in my meditation...
Sitting meditation?
Huh?
Sitting meditation?
Yes. Mm-hmm. My body moves quite a bit. It's either I feel this energy that sometimes starts at the base of my spine and goes up when I'm twirling on my cushion, or it's just my head that's spinning so much I'm scared I might hurt my neck.
So are you actually moving then? When you feel this energy arising, do you move with it? Or are you sitting still?
I just allow it. I just figure I'm not suppressing it, but I am aware of it, mm-hmm. and I allow it. Mm-hmm. And then sometime I said, is it my thought? Is it a thought? Or is it some other way of that my body is releasing energy? But it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes my hands are making mudras that I don't know mm-hmm. what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. It's just doing it. Or it holds my hands up like this, and it will stay for an hour, and I'm not feeling them. It's weird, a lot of weird things.
Well, the mind may call it weird, but it's really, I mean, the energy going up the spine, I mean, that's, it's called Kundalini energy.
Okay.
However, I don't really like to name it. I like to kind of drop the names and just feel the energy. And if this energy begins to move you, I mean, it's the same thing that happened to me in sitting meditation. I think I talked about this yesterday. I would feel this energy arise. And I was doing Qigong movements and yoga movements and just, allow it just to move. Mm-hmm. It's becoming familiar with that energy because it's chi energy, it's your life energy. So this life energy, which is the purest life form connected to stillness. Mm-hmm. So next time you can try to practice actually getting up and moving and doing things while you feel this energy. Mm-hmm. So when you tap into that state of meditation, we can call it, and then you feel this energy, it'd be interesting then to see, I'll do my dishes while feeling this energy. And it's quite a different experience. You'll feel very present, and the aliveness within is manifesting. It's coming out. Mm-hmm. So nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So sometimes when I follow the energy, and then I'm so in sync with the energy that sounds begin to come.
You should hear me in the shower.
So. But the sound that comes seem to take the form and the sound of a bird whistling. And so my mouth and my, there's like this almost like unintelligible speaking or sound, and when I follow the energy. So I don't know what it is. I just kind of trust and allow, but I was just wondering
I don't know what it is either.
Huh?
I don't know what it is either.
Okay.
It's energy, it's movement, it's coming out of stillness. That I know. It's coming out of stillness.
Okay.
And it's a creative life energy. And we don't know where it's going to, what that energy, how the next step it would be for you, how it will manifest. Mm-hmm. So for me, it manifested into teaching. Mm-hmm. For you, I don't know. It could manifest into art. It could manifest into, do you sing?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Do you sing?
Huh?
Sing?
No, I don't.
No. Maybe you will. So just respect it. Follow it. Like follow it in such a way that your mind isn't following it, but that you allow it to move you. So you get out of the way, and then you allow it to move you. You allow it to speak through you. So right now, it's coming out as just sound. Well, it's interesting. Before words ever happened, we must have made some sort of sounds because we have vocal cords. So it'll be very interesting for you.
It seems like when I'm in total alignment with it, it's like my body lines up with this field of energy, or I'm not thinking. My mind is really blank. It's just the energy that I am aware of, and I think what it feels like. It's I can't really describe it, so I'm just, you know what I mean.
Can you feel it now?
Huh?
Can you feel it now?
Can I feel it now?
Go there now.
Yeah, I can feel it, but it's kind of like my body wants to do something.
Yeah, just like how a minute ago I was saying,
yeah,
geez, I just
yeah,
want to move,
it
right?
just, it's like it doesn't want to stay still. And so I really am asking because I was really curious as to whether or not it's thought that brings it about, or I'm not thinking, or do I try to stifle it, or do I allow?
Well, you have to look for yourself to see whether it's thought that comes in and is moving it. But my sense is it is not. Because you say it spontaneously happens. Yeah. And how you're describing it, I don't think it's thought.
No, it doesn't feel like it.
So as far as whether you sit still through it, you have to decide in that moment whether to sit still. You can experiment. You can sit still with it and then allow the energy just to move. It'll continue to move. Mm-hmm. Or you may decide to allow it to move your body. Like I was sometimes afraid when I was grocery shopping or something like that, and it's like this energy might come through, and what am I going to do in the grocery store? But it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. I could feel the energy, but it was interesting when I just really focused on that energy, sense into that stillness. Mm-hmm. My shopping became a dance. I'd reach for something, and I can reach for it and grab it and put it into my cart. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it won't come through where it will embarrass you.
If I go, I have been embarrassed, and I've been at a retreat, and we were meditating, and this arm is just going off nonstop, and you kind of feel a little weird. Mm-hmm. So
maybe it's good to experience the weirdness so that you can drop that
idea. Okay.
Yeah, drop that, oh, geez, what are people going to think of me? Because that will stop us from being authentic. And you're at the retreat. People will understand. They'll understand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll just allow.
So if I see you moving around there, I understand. We'll all understand.
Hello. We haven't heard too much at the retreat about the pain body. I was hoping you would address the interactions between a couple and the pain body, perhaps from experience, or how do we play with it? How do we allow it and
Okay.
deal with it as a
Okay.
couple?
As a couple in a relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is your partner here with you?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
good.
right there.
Okay, so you're both spiritually awakening together. That's good. It takes a lot of awareness and diligence, commitment. So when the pain body arises, you have the certain, perhaps, practices that you can do together or separately. When the pain body arises, it's like going into being the awareness for it. Breathe. Don't allow that pain to take over your thoughts and your mind. But you'll have thoughts with that pain body because every pain body has a story. So, but don't allow it to take over your mind. If you see it starting to take over your mind, you'll become lost in that pain body. So how does the pain body manifest in you? Anger?
Yeah,
Yeah. And how does it manifest in your partner?
same.
Same. So, whoa, right? Okay. So other practices that you can do when the pain body arises is what I said yesterday. You can stand on one leg, keep in your body, so stay in your body. And the pain body loves to feed on pain. So if the pain body has been activated in you and not in your partner, say, you will probably do everything you can to activate your partner's pain body. So then luckily your partner is also awakening too, so she could or he could be present with it, stay with it, and maybe help you through it if she's able to maintain the presence. But as soon as she sees herself getting lost and being activated and just wants to lash out at you, then it's best to walk away. Just walk away. It might infuriate you. Usually it infuriates women more than men. I don't know why, but it does. But just walk away and come back together when you're more aware. And it's always good to have some space in your relationship. Do you spend a lot of time together?
Yeah,
And how is that working for you?
it's great.
Great, okay. Except for when the pain body's up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you spend some time away, though, when you're not in the pain body?
Oh, yeah, work and
Other than
other
work?
times, yoga separately sometimes. And
Okay. Because I think it's really important as we begin to awaken to be able to take that space for yourself. Because it requires that alone time to come into yourself and to allow your true self to manifest. Because sometimes when we're with a partner all the time, then we kind of share, you know? And when it gets too intense, that's when it begins to happen. Would you say you guys lean on each other quite a bit?
we don't really
A
have
lot.
a lot of other people we lean on. We lean on each other a lot.
You lean on each other a lot. Or you really depend on each other? Would you say it's a dependence or an
No,
interdependence?
We want to be together, and we're friends, and we like each other, and we share a lot. Doesn't happen that
Where's
often.
your partner? Can your partner come up here? Come on up.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you like the amount of
thank
time that you guys share together?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and that's good.
He's my best friend.
Okay, good.
So-
Good. Do you ever feel like you want to take some space and you're unable to take the space?
Only when the pain body.
Only when the pain
comes.
body comes up.
It's actually when we have distance is when we fight. When we miss each other, when we don't have quality time. That's when the pain body comes, not when we're together.
Interesting. Wow, I've never met anybody like you guys.
Is that just me, or would
You fight when you guys are apart. How do you manage to fight when you're apart?
Well, it's actually because we've been apart and we miss each other. That's when the miscommunication comes, because we haven't been really present. We're just being. Oh, well, not being. We're doing, but we're not being together in a way. So when the distance happens is when the fight kind of manifests. And when we look at it later, we're like, oh, we miss each other. And we don't spend too much time apart, but
So
it's
when
just,
you guys are apart, and then you come together, because you have to be at least together when you're fighting, whether it's on
Yeah.
the phone or together. So you guys are apart, and you miss each other, and then you get together, and you go, "What the fuck?" You know, like, "Where have you been?" or whatever you guys say to each other.
yeah, we'll say, I haven't
This
been
is a
feeling
hard
you.
one, I have to admit, because this is like the reverse. Because usually people are apart. You can come beside, behind. Yeah, there you go. Usually when people are apart and they come together and they miss each other, they embrace. I've really missed you. But you guys go, ha! You know, like,
Yeah, where have you been?
yeah, where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been then when you guys are apart?
we're usually together, but not present. We're usually doing stuff, and we're usually busy and not acknowledging one another and not being present with one another. We're too busy in our lives, and that
Okay,
creates...
so you spend a lot of time together, but you don't spend a lot of time together.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So then when you spend the time apart and you see that you are apart, like you guys are almost connected at the hip, and then when it disconnects, because you guys were already disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So when you spend it apart, you actually see that you're disconnected.
When we're on a retreat or on vacation, or we aren't busy in our lives, we don't have this issue. It's only when the busyness of life takes over our presence and doesn't allow us to look in each other's eyes or acknowledge each other or ask each other how we're doing. And it comes from...
So can you make room for that? Even though, I mean, we all have busy lives, so can you
Yeah.
make room for that contact to be present with each other? Do you guys have dinner together?
No.
No, okay. So when are you guys together if you're always together?
Afternoons, evenings, mornings, but we're, getting our kid ready for school. We're taking care of him when he comes from school, and then in the evening we're sort of exhausted, and we're not, we may have other work that's happening, and it's not, there's a lot of quality time on vacation, but it's really hard. We go out, maybe once a week to create the space to be together.
Okay.
But at home, that space is absent. It's
Do you
like...
create the space to be with yourself, though, or are you counting on each other to fulfill you? Yeah?
Perhaps, yeah.
I believe there may be a word for that, and that's codependent.
Mm-hmm.
To have a relationship where each other can be their true selves and independent. But yet every relationship there will be some interdependence. But if you have a relationship where you guys are depending on each other, and maybe you guys aren't connected, spirit to spirit because you're too busy, but somehow you guys are leaning on each other like this, you depend on each other. You depend on each other to, correct me if I'm wrong, but depend on each other for everything, including awakening. Awakening is very much an alone process. You can be with people, but it's very much a lone process. So you have two people that are leaning like this, and then you guys separate, okay? Or something happens where one person pulls away, and you guys are leaning, the other person will fall. And then you get upset because you've fallen, because you've depended on this person. This person is supposed to hold you up, and that person now has gone. Whereas a relationship that is independent yet be together, yes, there's leaning on each other sometimes, but when that person pulls away, you go, oh, okay, and you can still stand up on your own. So the relationship begins to move around like this. You have in a relationship, and sometimes you come together, and then other times you might lean on each other because maybe somebody is sick and they need you, or you have your kids and, you're doing things. But here are two independent people, and you meet each other like this. You're doing things together like this, generally. As I said, sometimes you are leaning, and that's okay. But generally, You're two independent people. So that when one needs to take space or one goes to work or whatever the story is, it's okay. You are in yourself. You are in your true self. You are the awareness. And that is what's feeding you. Not your other partner. Not the partner. The partner can relatively kind of feed you, but not ultimately. Because if you are only getting your food from your partner, it's not the real food. The real food is the inner stillness within you. So when you guys are together, if you can be this independent two people, spend a moment. You wake up in the morning. It can take 30 seconds. Even laying in bed, look at into each other's eyes. Or however, you can just look into their eyes, but if you are not connected to stillness yourself, you're not going to see the being in that person. You're just going to be looking into their eyes. Okay, I looked at you, and then off you go. So it really takes that alone time to sit in your own beingness and stillness. Because it is stillness, it is this stillness that a true relationship can come about and move in this world and do the things that you need to do. So when you spend too much time there's a lovely poem, and now I can't remember, it was either Rumi or Hafiz, where it talks about let there be space in your relationship. Something, I wish I knew it. Does anybody know that? Hafiz?
Khalil Gibran.
Oh, Khalil. Do you remember it? No. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's not it, but that's a good one too. That's a good one too. It talked about, let there be space in between the dance, and that's really important. Relationships nowadays can be very creative in order to have that space. I really need that space. Eckhart really needs that space to be truly in stillness. We can be still together as well, but we enjoy being alone. So our relationship is quite unique. So we live part of the time in Vancouver, and we have 2 apartments. We get together every day, every evening, but all during the day, when we're at home, we have our own space. And then we have a summer home, and we made sure it's not a big home, but it's big enough where we can each take our own corner and have our own space. I mean, you guys could be meditating together and all that, but still, when you meditate together, you're just 2 bodies sitting in a room, and you have to access the stillness. So, access the stillness. And then when you guys are separate, you go your separate ways for whatever reasons, there won't be any need to fight and have an argument and be angry because your partner wasn't there, because you are truly in your true self. And I can almost see, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you kidding me? No, I'm not leaving this person. I don't want to do this by myself. And that's what too much dependence on each other will create. Because one day, one of you will leave. It doesn't mean that you'll leave and separate as a divorce. But sooner or later, one will die. And then what will you be left with is the space. But if you can be left with the space while together, that is special, that is unique, because then you're seeing and being with your partner, the beingness of your partner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So just contemplate that. I'm not saying you guys have to do it, but you asked the question. And this is the answer that came through, and the experience of my relationship, and the experience of finding that inner stillness. Because the true marriage, there's the marriage, yes, of the form dimension, the human being, but the true marriage is with stillness, with God itself. That's the true marriage. When you're truly connected to yourself, when you're truly connected to with stillness within, then the flow of the form dimension, something happens in a different way. And it's unexplainable because it would seem like it doesn't change so much on the outside because you still got your kids to look after, you still got the cooking, you still got the shopping, but there's something different, and that transformation happens within. And when the transformation happens within, and then your relationship transforms, you will see each other, the real you, which is yourself, in him, in her. Contemplate that. Thank you for coming up.
I had a question, and also a question about the pain body. And in another talk earlier in the retreat, you spoke about that as we become awakened, the pain body will come up and seek attention. Mm-hmm. So that resonated with me because I've been having memories from my childhood come up. Mm-hmm. That are painful, pertaining to animals, mm-hmm. animals that I loved, or wild animals, that I observed and all that. And
so, you had a pain body related to animals?
Yeah. Well, the strangest thing is, so in the mornings I've been having depression for the past few months.
Okay.
And one way that makes me feel good is to go out in nature, and I love animals. Okay. I love my cats.
Wonderful.
Pets, okay. And I see birds, and I feel so connected to them. It makes me feel like myself. Mm-hmm. And but these memories have been coming up from childhood that are regard seeing people being cruel to animals, and even when I was very little. And I have guilt because I didn't prevent it, or I didn't intervene, or perhaps I feel I made the wrong decision about things that led to unfortunate circumstances about animals, pet cats, dogs, turtles. So it's surprising to me because some things are coming up that are so long ago that I haven't thought of, but then I remember them, and it causes me a lot of pain and guilt, and tears come. Mm-hmm. So even being here in the retreat, the beginning of the retreat was so quiet. I didn't know anyone. I didn't see the familiar faces that I have seen in the past at first. And I was alone, and I went with that, and I'm staying at a wonderful place, beautiful. I go out in the backyard. Twilight, these beautiful birds are flying around singing, happy, being themselves, being fine. And so many tears come. I started worrying about them.
Worrying about the tears.
Worrying about the birds.
Worrying
being
about birds.
Concerned about the animals and are animals going to be okay, or worried.
Okay.
It's really...
Let's go back to, you said you wake up every morning with depression. What's this depression?
Oh boy. I guess not knowing what will become of me. It's about the future.
Okay. And we can't know the future. Can you just let that go? Can you just let go of the wanting to know about the future? So every morning you wake up, and if it's worried about the future, can you say, am I willing to let this go? You don't have to let it go, but am I willing to let it go?
I'm willing.
Okay.
And I know it's not the present moment. I mean, I know thinking about the future is not being present.
Mm-hmm. I feel like as if there may be something just skirting around. There's something else happening with the depression, more than just worrying about the future. So when this feeling of depression comes, are you able to contemplate it, be with it, allow it to be there?
That was my question, how to handle it, and how to handle these memories that are coming up. And yes, I can.
Mm-hmm. So when the memories come up, you can't do anything about it. Just allow them to come up, witness them. Because oftentimes when we begin to awaken, and many people have said this, it seems like as if my pain body is getting worse, not better.
Yes,
right?
That's the way it feels, yes.
Right. And that's because you're awakening. The pain body was always there, but you were not aware of it. So when we awaken, we not only awaken to the stillness that we are within, but we also awaken to the pain body. We awaken to everything that we've held under, that we have not let go of. And the only way through is actually to go through it. That's the only way out, is to go through. So, and it will lessen, but life is showing you, you still got this here, and this is preventing you from being your true self. This story, this pain body that's living inside you is preventing you from being free. So, if you are willing to feel that pain body and in other words, to overcome it, we do have to look at everything that arises if it comes up. We don't have to go looking for the story. If it comes up, great. You can look at it and see it, feel it, because that energy needs to release. It's the energy that's stuck there, and then the story in the head about it. And it may be very painful, but you need to be willing to go through that pain, to transform that pain into a creative energy. And the only way to transform it into a creative energy is actually to go through it. So we go through it, we go through it, we go through it to the bitter end. And when we get to that end, something happens where it begins to transform, and it's like a different energy arises. It comes up, and it may be something very creative.
Oh, good.
But you have to be willing to go to the bitter end of it.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I just wanted to know, yeah, that was so great that, I mean, the freeing creative energy. So to go into it, so there's pain, there's tears, there's memory. Just let that all come, even the memory of, like, the story of how I remember it. It's okay to let that story come.
Let it come, but just don't dwell on it. I mean, if
Okay.
it comes up, and you go, oh, that's interesting. And then just allow the story to go. Just allow it to go. And just keep feeling the body. Keep feeling the energy of it. And just allow that energy to move, because it wants to move. In order for it to release, it has to move. So it might move somewhere else in the body. Continue to feel that. And then relax your body through it, because the first thing the body wants to do when it starts feeling pain is contract. And when you contract, it has the energy gets stuck. So, we did in presence through movement, we practice to relax the body, even though we're feeling the sensations, even though we're feeling some pain and discomfort in our body. We are just, okay, I'm willing to go through it. I'm willing to go through it. And then soon enough, you don't have to always just spend time alone to do it. You can go about your everyday life and still feel the pain body, still do your activities for the day, and still be okay with what is arising.
Okay.
It's willing to be okay. So, Krishnamurti, a spiritual teacher, I can't remember when he passed away, whether it was in the 70s or 80s, or maybe it was the 60s. 1986? He was given a discourse, and he says to his students, do you want to know my secret? And of course everyone's going there, oh yeah, of course I want to know your secret. And he says, I don't mind what happens. So the pain body comes up, I don't mind what happens.
So,
depression comes up.
let it come.
Depression comes up, I don't mind what happens.
Okay.
You can still go be with the animals. That helps you. But also be with this depression and see what it has to say to you. And see what energy it will transform into. Be with it to the bitter end.
Okay.
And the bitter end may not, it may come in stages. But that's okay. What is what is in this moment.
Thank you. And that your presence, that your class, Presence Through Movement, was great. I had a great time. It's fun. Thanks. Thank you.
It can be sometimes a challenge to feel the pain body right to the bitter end. But it's something in order to accept and allow this moment to be as it is and for transformation to happen, it's necessary to feel it to the bitter end. And you may even feel like sometimes, oh my God, I can't take anymore, I'm ready to collapse. I remember just feeling like, literally, I felt like as if I was going to collapse, and I didn't know how I was going to go on. you might even get to that point. You may not. But I remember getting to that point, and I remember lying on the floor feeling like, oh my God, I can't handle this anymore, but yet I'm willing. That's all it takes, is a willingness to go through it. And you don't have to. Maybe in that moment you're not willing. You just be honest and you go, I'm not willing to go through this. That's fine, because there will be plenty of opportunity. It'll just come right back up again until you are willing, absolutely willing. So here I am, absolutely willing, and I'm going through this, and something begins to change. I can feel the energy almost going out my feet and then out into the earth, and then at some point it bounces back up, and this other new, different kind of creative energy was coming through, that came through. And suddenly it was just almost like, because during that time I felt like my whole body was out of whack. My shoulders were out, my hips were out, and then suddenly it was like, oh my God, I feel like in this total alignment. And I literally got off the floor and started to stand like how a baby would first begin to practice standing. And I felt that wobbly. And then I remember going, okay, I can't quite get up yet, so I went back onto the floor. And then I try it again, and I would try it again. And I wondered if this was the manifestation of our true self coming through. It was like a healing was taking form, not only emotional healing, but also physical healing. So all the aches and pains that were happening in my body just left me. I have never felt so straight in my body. You know, sometimes when our pain body takes us over, it pulls us this way and pulls us that way, and then our hips are out, and then, you know, our knees are out, our shoulders are out. But if we allow ourselves to fully surrender and surrender into the present moment, no matter how painful it is, something happens. So I invite you to be willing to go there. Just ask yourself, am I willing to go through this? And allow your body to answer. Because your mind might say, yeah, I do, but your body is really saying, no, I don't. So maybe you're not quite ready yet. And that's okay. It's not, don't allow the ego to come in through the back door and judge you because you're not ready yet. But your body will tell you, let your body answer. And when your body answers, it's like the deep truth that you really are willing. Hi.
Thank you so much. You're lovely, and I loved the present through movement today. It was wonderful. So thank you. And try not to cry.
Oh, you can cry.
I cry a lot.
That's great.
It's good. I'm at a point in my life where I am really struggling in my work. I'm afraid to go to work every day.
Okay. What happens for you? Is it the work or is it just anxiety?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I listen to you and Eckhart every morning and every evening on my way to work and on my way home. And it's helpful. But I don't know if the task is to move into a different field or try and get a different job. And I think that the answer to that is to practice presence and drop in more deeply.
What do you do?
Well, in terms of my work, I'm a social worker, and I wanted to find some sort of way to make ends meet in a way that felt ethical. So I went to graduate school for social work, and I thought, this, it never really felt right, but it was like, okay, I can make money doing something to help people. It seemed to make sense. My family encouraged me to do it, but I find it really stressful and scary, and people have incredibly complex problems, and I don't know how to fix them. And I'm so scared to go to work, and I show up every day, and I do my best, and I don't think anybody knows how scared I am. And I get really positive reviews. I put on this, I do a good job, ostensibly, but inside I'm terrified, and I hate it, but I don't know what else to do. And
so you think you have to fix them?
That's part of the problem, right? I know that. I'm a behavioral expert. That's my title. I'm not a behavioral expert. And that's scary. There's this dissonance between who I am and what I can offer and what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. And teams will come to me I work with people with intellectual disabilities who are having behavioral challenges. And so teams come to me as like a last, we tried everything else. You're the person that we're consulting. What do we do? I don't know what to do. And it's
Is it okay not knowing what to do? I didn't know what to do with that couple. I was just still, and what came out. I have no idea if it hit home for them, but it's not really my business if it hits home for them. It may hit home for them in a year. It may hit home for them 2 years. Or I may be full of it.
I need to be with that. That's really hard for me. And a lot of there's also
what's hard for you to not know?
Not knowing, and there's a strong ego.
So the ego, yeah.
It's extraordinary. The thoughts that come and the power it has.
Okay.
But it's so hard to just sit for me. I've been trying for years, and it's painful.
It's painful to sit?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
it's painful physically?
To meditate, to try to,
emotionally, psychologically?
Yeah. You got to get up. Oh, you should do your laundry. Oh, you should probably think about this. Oh, you should really check
Okay, slow down.
Sorry. But like...
Yeah, I can, all right. So this is where I think the practice for you may be to meditate, to slow yourself down, slow the mind down. And meditation will help with that. To be comfortable with not knowing. So Jesus said, do not worry about what you shall wear, what you shall eat, what you shall say, for in the moment that you need it, it is given. Not 2 hours before. The moment that you need it, it is given. And this is how stillness works. This is how living the spiritual life works, is that you totally get out of the way. So your work, however you got there, and whether you move or not into a different field, that's just irrelevant right now. Let's just stick with this field. You're there because my sense is if you move, you still will have these feelings.
Yes, that's why I haven't left. I think they'll follow me.
Good, okay, good. So let's work. It's not about the work. It's about your inner state.
Yes.
So the practice is for you to do a formal sit. Do you do formal sitting meditation?
It's easier when I'm in pain. It's easier when I'm suffering. Like when I had a loss, I could sit. But
so now I'd like you to commit. Can you commit? Are you willing to commit?
Yes.
Right. Okay, so your willingness to commit, I would like you to commit every single day to a sitting meditation 3 times a day.
Okay. One of them can be at work.
Yes, one of them can be at work. So first thing in the morning, you could even do it while you're laying in bed if you'd like, and not get, you can do it lying down. But if you go back to sleep, you might want to set the alarm again, but because sometimes it'll happen if you're not used to meditating, you will fall asleep. You can fall asleep sitting up too. So I would like you to meditate at least 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes midday, and 15 minutes in the evening before going to bed. And that too could be done in the evening. At least 15 minutes. So even if your body feels like moving, this is where I'd like you to just sit through that sensation of wanting to move. Because right now, your mind is very, very active. So that your movement versus this other woman's movement is quite different. Okay? Her movement comes from stillness. Your movement is agitation and wanting to get out of the present moment and just go with the thoughts in your head. And, your thoughts in the mind tells you, the ego says, forget it, I'm not going to sit still, I'm not going to meditate. Whether you're conscious of that or not, but that's what's going on. So sit through it. Sit through with the sensation of wanting to move. Watch that sensation of how, oh, that's really interesting. My body wants to move, but I'm willing to sit still. I'm committed to sitting still for 15 minutes. You can go longer. So the minimum is 15 minutes, 3 times a day. And then eventually, after committing to the 3 times a day, still keep going 3 times a day, then I want you to introduce more times in a day. Not 15 minutes, but say, for example, you take a sip of water. You have a glass or your water bottle. I want you to be present for 1 sip of water, even 1. What does the water actually feel like? Watch your head maybe come out. Watch maybe how you might start, the saliva starts in your mouth for that thirst. So do something that is everyday things, whether it's taking a sip of water, eating your sandwich, washing a dish. I want you to do something on the practical level with awareness, like as if you're in meditation. And every time that you see yourself, the mind go, and you're aware of it, you may not be aware of it, and it's going, and then suddenly you become aware of it, you go, oh, wow, I've been just like going off in my head again. All right. It's not my sitting meditation time, but I'm willing to take 3 conscious breaths. Just to become still, just to become present. And it's absolutely okay not to know. In fact, when we live the spiritual life, we don't know. That's the interesting thing. We don't know. We don't know the next moment. You didn't know I was going to do that. So all these different things happen and we don't know. In fact, when you're connected to stillness, that stillness will speak through you, will answer, will work within your work situation, and it will come, whether it's the skills that you've learned to integrate that or something else, creative, spontaneous, may come out of your mouth. Or maybe nothing will come out of your mouth, but you're simply still, and that brings healing all on its own. You're just listening. Not listening like, oh, what am I going to say to this? Because you're not listening. Practice really listening without expecting that you should answer or come up with an answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
This is all new for me, but I had a question about dreams. I have very vivid dreams, and they stay with me throughout the day and then sometimes for days. So it's not like a past memory that you can go over and think about because it didn't really happen, but it's not thinking about the future because...
It's not about the future?
No, it's
Okay.
like this dream happens, and sometimes they're pretty disturbing. Mm-hmm. So how do you just then during the day when it comes up again, just...
You dream when you're awake?
No, but like the
memory
first
of
night
it.
of the workshop, I won't go into the whole thing, but part of it was getting in a cab, going to a workshop and running late. And it was with all these other people rather than a single cab. And the gentleman who was driving stopped at a quarry, and you couldn't see the bottom of it. So I don't know if there was water, but I assumed it was just dry rocks. And one of the other members of the group just did this cannonball with a joyful look on his face and just ran and jumped into the quarry. And I was horrified, like, what is he doing? He's gonna die. I thought he was gonna die. And then another man jumped out of the tree with a big smile on his face into this quarry that you could not see what was gonna happen. And now this was we started Sunday night, and today's Thursday. And I could go on for a half an hour with memories of that dream.
So it stays with you.
I'm not anxious about it, but it's just
Okay.
what to do with it.
So you're, well, you don't do anything with it. I mean, obviously you're still processing it because you're wanting to understand it.
Yes.
That's why it keeps coming back. And there's some schools of thought that says everything in the dream or everyone in the dream is you. Mm-hmm. And which is interesting because you said this is your first time here. And the first time here is like jumping in. And what are you jumping into? Hell if I know what I'm jumping into. And you've jumped in. And what's interesting is that you're happy you jumped in. There's a joy that you jumped in. So you're kind of in the honeymoon stage of this, which is quite wonderful because as you know, that book that we talked about, Eckhart named and I named, you know, after the ecstasy, the laundry. So enjoy the honeymoon stage. So dreams often can, it depends on the dream. Mm-hmm. But I recall when during the daytime, I felt very present, very aware. And then in the evening when I would go to sleep, I would dream, and it would be like active, almost pain body dreams. So it's like the ego, if it can't get you during the day, it'll try to get you then in the evening when you're asleep. So whether that's your case, maybe sometimes, because you said sometimes they're disturbing, write them down maybe if you really want to know and understand your dreams. Or just go, oh, wow, okay, it's interesting, let it go. Allow the answer to come to you rather than just looking for the answer of the meaning of your dream. But that's what came to me when you said about jumping into this man jumping in the quarry, and then another one jumping out of a tree, and you've jumped into the fire. And this is spiritual life. Awakening can be a fire. We're burning up the old self. We're burning up the egoic mind, our conditioned self. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Hello.
To preface this, I am the wife of the construction worker that you talked to. So thank you for your commentary, because I'm tired too. So
I figured so.
Yeah.
I put myself there because back then when I was a mother, yeah, and I only had one.
Yeah. So my question actually has to do with children.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that can pull my pain body out quicker than anybody else, especially at bedtime.
Sure.
And I know we talk a lot about not having a future date of happiness, right? But bedtime is always my future date of happiness when it comes to the day. And so my question is, how do I remain present when I have 6 children jumping all over me and nobody will go to bed? And that's when I lose my shit every night. To be honest, and I just really need help. Like I try so hard to okay, be present. I'm brushing their teeth, but I just lose it. And
How old are your kids?
16, 14, 11, 10, 8, and 6.
So which ones do you have trouble with?
Mostly the 6-year-old. She is quite a handful. Well, I have the 10-year-old has obsessive, anxious thoughts, so she always comes back in 4 times, traumatized of the world. And then the 6-year-old won't stop jumping on her bed because she doesn't want to go to bed, and it's just.
And
it's
what
crazy.
Time, what time do they go? What time does she go to bed?
Oh, we have a tiered system. I pretty much have bedtime for
So the one that's jumping on the bed, what time does she go to bed?
Usually 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yeah. Her and the 8-year-old go to bed at the same time, and then now the 10-year-old goes to bed later.
Does she have
9.
sugar before bed?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay,
And,
so sugar is a stimulant.
Sugar is a stimulant, and she's just a very difficult child.
So can you stop the sugar?
Definitely.
Okay,
Yep,
that's one thing to do.
That's one thing to do, but I think a lot of my pain body comes out because she throws really bad fits, and so a lot of times, and I know as a parent, I will give in to those fits just to get her to go to bed or whatever.
So she's got you under control.
Oh, yeah, she's got me wrapped around her little finger. So I've had
So you need to regain your own
right,
your own power.
And there's a book that I just started
Be the
reading
captain
about.
of the ship. There's a
That book.
wonderful
That's the one
book.
I'm
You got
reading.
that book?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Presence in Parenting, I think it's called. But
Yeah.
but
there's another book that she had written. Her first book was
It's difficult childs or something.
No, struggle something. It had the word struggle in it or something. And she talks about that. So that's a good book to read. So you're going to have to regain that, and you are the captain here.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're a mean captain. It doesn't mean that you are an aggressive, you got to do what I, say. But make consequences.
Yep.
Do you have consequences?
Yeah.
What are they?
Usually it has to do with removing something, she can't use screens the next day, and that's another thing that I've taken away from this is not allowing her to have screens, because I see that the kids are affected when they have too much screen time, especially before bed. That's a big thing. If they're allowed to play games or whatever before bedtime, that's a big struggle.
She's going to fight you for a while because she's going to want to regain that power. It's natural.
Yep.
Right? So she's going to fight you, but That's where you need to actually discipline yourself and be strong and not give in
Yep.
to that. And if you start giving in, look at why you're giving in. Is it easier to give in?
Not in the long run.
Right, not in
Yeah.
the long run, but in the short run, it is easier
Right.
to give in. So she has you trained. Now you have to train her.
The challenging part, I think, comes with she's got my ex-husband trained too, and so I can only train her on my side, I guess, and focus on when she's with me. That can provide a challenge as well because she's got two sets of conditioning. And it's not just her too, it's all the kids, you know, at the same time.
Are you friends where you can get along with your
Yes,
ex-husband?
we co-parent very well.
Okay, so
yeah.
can you guys talk about this?
Possibly.
Or is he okay with...
He's not really in the awakening process, so it's
Okay.
it can provide a
But
challenge.
but it can work under your household.
Right, it can work under my, and that's the way that we do it, that me and Tommy do it. So, and we see them drawn to that, to our presence. But it's when I lose the presence, it becomes very difficult.
And when you lose the presence, are you able to talk about it after?
After I come back, yes.
Okay.
Usually it looks like me saying, I can't do this anymore, and making Tommy go in and put him to bed. And then I have to, then I can take a few minutes to myself to compose myself and then go back in, and I'm okay. But I mean, I've even tried like dressing up and like trying to play games with them before bedtime, and, you know, meditation apps for them and all of that kind of stuff. Have been helpful.
So when it's around bedtime, when it's close to the bedtime, I would not play games with them. It's time to quiet down. So when you play games with them and you're playing with them, you're activating their energy. When you want their energy to now start coming down. And that might be just maybe reading a story in bedtime. Do you read stories to them?
I honestly, I've been doing more of the meditation apps, but they always
the
love
meditation
to read.
apps, when you just finished saying that the apps kind of stimulate them.
I have like a little speaker that I put in their bedroom, so they're not actually on the app. It's just
Okay.
It's just like it's called Moshi sleep app
Okay.
for kids. So
Okay, but maybe do that part of the time. And the other part of the time, maybe read them a story, because you then are connecting with her. You yourself are being with her. And then she will see that, she will feel that. And if you can be calm through the bedtime story and reading the story, she will eventually also calm down. So it's now breaking a habit, because she's 6 years old. So it's going to take some time. I don't know how long. Definitely it'll take probably a minimum of 6 months, but this is going to be great practice for you because you are becoming now the parent. Because right now, she, in a way, she's not the parent, but she's kind of running the show.
yeah.
So let's switch that around and take some time for yourself. So talk about it with your husband, whether that means, okay, you don't come home, take time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then show up. It's just a suggestion. It may not work for you guys. You have to navigate your way through, find your way. And then I want my time. So it just make it not a fun time, an active fun, but a fun time to go to bed to be calm. And I think reading bedtime stories it's a nice way to connect with your child. hold them as you're laying in bed and you're reading, and, they might go more, 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 and you'll go, no, not today. Or you might go, okay, one more. And then you go to bed. And then if she starts sort of taking that fit, with my child, I remember hugging her through her first temper tantrum. I hugged her where she couldn't even hardly move. That's how tight I hugged her. But I loved her through it, It was just like holding her and holding her. The reason why I did that was because my mother, when I was a child and I would take temper tantrums, I remember wanting her to hold me. That's what I wanted, was to be held. And she wouldn't hold me. So I would take a temper tantrum and she would let me until I would fall asleep, basically. So when my daughter took her first temper tantrum, I held her and she never took another temper tantrum. So I don't know if that'll work for you, but if she takes temper tantrums, she may not. I don't know.
She does.
She does, yeah. Because it's a way to control, really. It's a way to get attention. They're wanting attention. So don't ignore it, but at the same time, don't fuel it and feed it by not giving her attention, the real attention. And oftentimes, that's what they're longing for. They're longing to connect. They're longing to be seen. And nowadays, it's so easy and such a busy life and a busy household, it's hard to be able to give that attention to each child. That's a lot of children. However, it may not be that you are giving it all to one. You give it to one for 5 minutes, 10 minutes to read that story. And then if you can throughout the day, give her some attention as well. Are you a stay-at-home working mom?
I run a business at my house, so.
So you not only work, but you also have...
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a very, very busy life where you need that time for yourself to recharge.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're taking this time right now because obviously your kids aren't here.
No, thank God. They're not. Thank you.
So soak it in. Great. Okay. All right. So let's sit in stillness before we end this evening or this afternoon. You still got the evening to go. Wow, it's busy here, huh? Busy being present. Okay. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added unto you. Seek stillness within first. Then the added things come. Thank you. Namaste.